Okay, one of the things I noticed right away on the headlights is that on my other ct70, I have a headlight, the original, and this end right here is threaded. It's a 10mm bolt, but this one, an aftermarket one, it's not threaded, so I'll have to get a bolt and a nut for the inside. So just keep that in mind. If you buy one of these aftermarket ones, that's what you're going to have to do, because this part here is not threaded. So no big deal. So it's just a trip to the hardware store and get yourself some bolts and some nuts, and get a couple of lock washers too, and some washers. You know, grab plenty so you'll have enough, because you may have to shim a little bit. But yeah, so other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's not heavy. I mean, it's pretty thin metal, but oh, what it's gonna do. It's a glass lens, and the bulb is removable, right? I can change it, which is fantastic. So okay, so I get my light apart just to show you. Like I said, this part right here is not threaded, as you can tell, so you have to run a bolt right through it here and put a nut on the other end. Also, I've noticed one thing. The wiring right here comes out here. The edges are really sharp, and you can tell right here I've already got a little bit of damage on the shielding. So I suggest three things. First thing, you can tape this up with electrical tape, or two, you can use shrink wrap, or three, take a file and from the inside and take these sharp edges off. So it's up to you. I think I'm going to use my suggestion 2 and 3. I'm going to file, take the sharpness out, and I'm going to use shrink wrap and wrap these up, so that way they're a little bit more protected. Okay, I got the shrink wrap done, as you can tell. Turned out pretty good. I shrink wrapped each wire individually, just so it's a lot easier to handle. And not only that too, when I shrink wrapped it just a little shorter so I can see the color of the wire. So I've got a blue, a green, and a white. So now it's just a matter of mounting up the bucket. And again, what I did is I filed inside here, because I found it quite sharp, and I didn't want it to rub the wires there. Basically expose the wires so that would short out. So anyway, now the next step is to mount this up in the bucket. Okay, so now what you need to do is you take the lens off, and here's the bucket. There's a hole in here, and my understanding is that all this wiring here gets kind of shoved into here, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. Now when it comes to the wiring, I downloaded a wiring diagram and followed it, and I would recommend anybody to do the same. This wiring is it's not complicated, but it takes a little thinking. But if there's any questions, I'll try to help. But the best I can suggest is download the wiring diagram and just follow it. Well, as you can see, I got my headlight back on, and I got all the wiring tucked in. So if you look behind, right here, here and here, all my wires are tucked in inside the light. So I'm hoping that it stays cool. I mean, I know those little 6-volt lights can throw off a lot of heat, so hopefully it doesn't affect the wiring. But anyway, so just give you an idea. All in there, so everything looks good. Next step is to test it out. I did earlier on. The light was working, the high and low, and so was the indicator on the speedometer for whether or not it's high or low for the beam. So my next step now will be to, I think I'll go and hook up the front brakes. So we'll start on that one next.